In this video I'm going to show you how to clean up the output we've got on our web page from interacting with the database and displaying information from the database. So I want to just remind us that we're using Git. So we're on branch PHP arrays. Let's see what branches there are available. Okay, so we're on branch PHP arrays. I want to create a new branch. So when you switch branches, if I wanted to change to one of the other branches, it would be git checkout. So I could do git checkout master, for example, and that would put me back onto the master branch. If you want to, and I don't want to do that, well, actually git checkout master may be good enough. If you want to make a new branch, the easiest way to do this, you can actually use the git branch command, but you can also do git checkout-b, which will create the branch and put you on the check out the branch or put you on the branch at the same time. Alright, so I'm going to call this table. Okay, so now we're on branch table, and let's see. I think what we're going to do is actually create a new file. So I'm going to copy index.php. So I'm copying index.php because that'll give me a start point for our web page instead of having to copy a bunch of stuff over by hand. So I'm going to copy that over, and we'll just call this, it doesn't matter what you call this file, so I'll call it table.php. And I'm going to edit that. And okay, so I want to edit, so I'm going to be in insert mode, and we don't need this stuff just yet. So this is the code I'm deleting, is the code we had from the very first video where I connected to the database and was printing out the arrays that came from that. And we're not going to use that right now. So we're just going to forget about that connection. I'm going to leave the connection here because I am going to use it. But right now, I just want to write some HTML. So the stuff that I'm about to write is HTML code. So we're going to begin with a table command. And when you begin a command like that, you have to end it. So this is the end of the table. And then inside the table we can put rows. So I'm going to begin with a table header. So that's, now we're going to build a bunch of rows in this table. So we're going to have a table header and then table data, and we'll call this last name. So these are HTML tags, and what goes in between these table data tags is text, but you don't have to put it in quotes. Alright, so this is the end of the first table data, and this is the beginning of the next. So these are grouped together. And now I'm just going to have two columns in my table, so I'm going to end that with table header. So this is one row of information in a table. And now I'm going to have a table row. So this is an ordinary row, and I'm going to have data in this table, and we're going to have Bob. Oops. And that. So that's last name. My students know what's coming next because I always use the same name. So we've got Jim Bob. So this is the end of the first row of data, and then we'll put in another row. And if my students have really been paying attention, they should know the next name that's coming too. Jim Bob's wife. Oop. Okay, so there are 2 rows of data. Notice that I don't have to do any formatting inside this HTML file. So when this is rendered by your browser, the browser actually will do all the formatting for this stuff. So we have a table, we have a header row that has 2 columns in it, last name, first name. Then we have 2 rows of information to go into that table. And let's see how we did. So I'm going to save this. Man, I am using so many different browsers and so many different jobs or editors. Oh, please, now what? Are you gonna tell me? I hate you. All right, I gotta fix something. Gonna pause. Okay, so I've saved this now, and I should be able to go to my browser and browse to. Oh, look, you can see where I was reminding myself how tables work. Okay, UCS, blah blah blah. Oh, well, thank you for not having this up here. Jeepers. Students DC, class web page. Okay, that's going to bring up the index.php page. That's not what I want. What I want is to pause for a second. Okay, so when we go to this URL, remember this puts us in the class web page subdirectory on the server. Oh, that doesn't really help, does it? Right, puts us in the class web page subdirectory on the server, and that automatically brings up the index file. But what I want is the table file. So table.php, and I did something wrong. This isn't formatted right. This Bob should be under there. Jim and Jane should be under first name. Hang on. Okay, apparently I didn't do a good enough job reminding myself. I think I know what the problem is. I got these backwards. Every one of these should be table row. And the table header goes on the inside of the row. Let's try that. Thank you, Internet. There we go. All right, so these are lined up in a table. It looks kind of ugly, right? Maybe we should format this a little bit. So let's remind ourselves we got style.css in here, and in table.php we are including style.css, so we'll go ahead and get that. And okay, so through the magic of video, I added some elements to our style page. So the first one I added was for the table and for both rows, for table header rows and regular rows. So I put a 1 pixel border around each cell. Border collapse. So the way this works is without the border collapse, the border is drawn around the table, and then around each cell a border is drawn. So without border collapse, you get 2 borders right next to each other, and well, I don't know, it's just not that pretty. Text align, I want everything centered inside each column, and then I decided to change the colors for table header. So I changed the font color to orange and the background color to red, just to make it really ugly. So save that, and mission accomplished. Those are some fairly ugly colors. Just to demonstrate, yeah. print that out, but oops, I'm gonna quit. So you can see that without that border collapse, every one of these cells gets these double borders, and I don't know, doesn't look that great. Okay, so this is how you build a table when your information is statically generated. But what if we're reading information in from a database? I don't know how many rows we're going to get. We should know how many columns we're going to get because we're reading it for a table, and those have fixed columns. Hey, remember my own friend? Ugh. So the next step in our video is to dynamically generate tables using PHP. And I'm going to put that'll make things much better. All right. So now let's go back to table.php. And we're going to do a couple tricks here. So the first trick is this table is in I am not in insert mode. You know what? That Q exclamation point means don't save any of the changes that I made. Alright, so the first trick I'm going to do is I want to print out the contents of this this database call to departments. But tables are HTML. Well, there's a nice trick with PHP in that PHP can directly output HTML using the echo command. So we are going to do this. Now, I'm also going to, I'm going to turn all these things into strings. Well, you know, I've changed my mind a little bit on how I'm going to approach this. So I can echo each one of these. And the way the echo command in PHP works, this is the same thing as having that table body down here as regular HTML. Okay, so let's take a look at that. I want to read out. And we shouldn't see any change in our, well, I changed the colors on the table, right? Well, except for the syntax error, we shouldn't see any changes. Yes, it's PHP, so you do have to remember, not in Python, so we have to remember that we need semicolons. I'm going to regret that in a second. Okay, so this is the table we had before. I'm going to make another change. As soon as I put myself in insert mode. Oh shoot, I don't want to do that. Didn't want to do that either. I kind of stink at this. instead of having 5 different echo commands, I can do this with one echo command if I'm echoing out a single string. So what I'm going to do is concatenate these strings together, and in PHP the way you concatenate is with a dot. In Python plus, but in a lot of other languages it's a dot. PHP is one of those, so let's save that. And go and look. Shouldn't have anything different. Great. So what was the point in doing that? Alright, well now, here is what we are going to do. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of room. And what we're going to do is, actually we're going to make one more change. I'm going to call this $S for string. We're going to set that up as a variable. And down here, maybe you see where this is going. Okay, so now we've just made this string into a variable, and I'm just going to echo that variable out. Yeah, let's go ahead and check. Still shouldn't see any change. Okay, good. That mistake I made earlier, that was on purpose, just to show you that I'm actually changing things. Alright, so why am I setting this up this way? Well, because I'm going to leave, now let's see, in department, we have a department, no, I'm going to be in edit mode, or insert mode. We have a department number, and we have a department name. So that's always fixed. So that I'm just going to hard code like this. But these 2 rows here are going to change for every department that we have in departments. So how do we get all of those departments in that PHP array department here? Well, actually I don't like my spacing here. Move this like this, and the way we do that is we do a for loop. So I'm going to do a for loop over department, and well, okay, there's another thing I don't like. This really shouldn't be department, it's multiple departments. Oh, this is a fetch. Forgot about this. This is an old video file, right? This is a single fetch. So this should be fetch all, and then PDO associative array, something like that. And then for departments as $department. Okay, so now in this table command is going to be outside the loop. Oops. And what we're going to do is add to $S, $S dot equals. So this is a command. This should look familiar from Python. What this means is this is like plus equals. What's in S? Concatenate the next thing on the right hand side to it. So what do I want to concatenate to that? Well, let's see. We're going to need a table row. So table row. And then, oops, we need table data. And the first thing we need is the department number. So the department number is part of this variable, right? Department. Oh, no, you know what? Let's see. It's been a while since I made the last video. I can't remember exactly what this thing looks like. You know what? We're going to print out departments. remember exactly what that looks like. We're going to get an error here somewhere. When I'm finished creating this table, I have to add table onto the end of it. So what I'm doing is dynamically generating this table in a for loop by concatenating rows into the center of it. And then when I finish, I want to put this table there to end the table. All right, well, hopefully, if this doesn't work, I'm going to pause the video and fix it. Should write that out. And let's see what we get. Mess. Yeah. Unexpected. Line 13. I'm going to take one crack at this and then... line 13. It's way up there, Cook. Alright, so I got this wrong. Hang on. Whew. That was a comedy of errors. Alright, so there are a bunch of things I had to fix to make this work. First of all, it's fetch associative. Second of all, this is a double set of double colons, which is actually sort of the norm when you're working with classes and objects. Should have known that. I had an extra concatenation dot here. It wasn't supposed to be here. Got rid of that, so this should just end with a semicolon. This needed a semicolon. I was missing a close brace down here, curly brace for this one up on the for loop. I hate the way this cursor coloring works. Alright, so we got that fixed up, sort of. And what do we have? So it's department number, department name. Okay. Department number, department name. And I am not in insert mode. So it was. Now, because I'm doing this as a for each loop, I don't actually have to call this department number department name, but it just kind of helps me remember. Just remember that this is going to be the key, and this is going to be the value. And if we go back over here and look, key, oh, actually, you know what? I'm dorking this up. This for loop, yeah, I am dorking this up. I think I almost said something else. Boop. We don't want this. Apologies. Let's go back and look at this again. So we're doing a for each loop over this array, but remember this array is an array of departments indexed by 0, then 1, then 2. So I've been over this in a bunch of videos. And then each one of those departments has a department number and a department name, and that's the bit I want. So when I come down here and add something, department is an array, and inside of that I want the department number. And now I've got a problem. We're going to come back to that. Oh, what did I just? I don't even know how I did that. Okay, so that is the end of the first piece of table data. Now I want to begin another one and add in I need a dot here. Sorry, let me start at the beginning here. Table row, first piece of table data. This is a string that we're going to echo out, and then we're going to concatenate to this string, the string that's the department number, and we get that through the array department. That's department subscript, that is department number. We're going to concatenate that to another string, which is going to give us the second TD, and then this is going to be $ department. What is it? Department name. Dot. And then we need again. We need to end the table data for department name, and then we need to end the table row. Like that. Alright, so it's a bunch of string concatenations. Now, instead of hard coding things into these rows, we're using a variable. This is going to be a string, department, sub-department number, department, sub-department name. So that will be D09 customer service for the first one, the first row. And then this is really just a big, long string concatenation. Alright, so let's try it. By the way, if you've forgotten, computer science minor motto is, what's the worst that could happen? Your video could get really long and your students could get upset with you. Alright, let's take a peek at this, and we got a syntax error. Woohoo! Let's see. Syntax error unexpected equals line 18. Let's take a peek. We're on line 18. Oh. Huh. Didn't notice that. I don't know what happened to my S. Okay. Some weird editor thing. There we go. Hang on. Let's get rid of this ugly print R. And refresh. Voila. There, that looks a lot nicer than the way we were printing these out before, right? These tables really aren't hard to build, despite the fact that this video's got to be a good 25 minutes into it by now. It's a string that you can echo out. Think of it as HTML. So you start building the table, and then when you want to dynamically generate rows from your database, put in a for loop, which will count all over every row in your database, and then it's just a matter of filling that in with sort of the hard-coded HTML bits, and then the appropriate columns from your database. Excuse me. Cool, eh? Now, I know I'm way over time, but I will say modern web page designers will tell you, oh, you know, we don't use table anymore. There are lots of plugins for web pages that use fancier versions of tables to make them look a little nicer, and round corners, and you have cool ways of putting in borders and colors and all those other stuff. But at the heart, they're really kind of tables. So this is a nice gentle introduction to building maybe a little bit nicer output for your database stuff. All right. Night.